Doesn't it? It resonates within us, this thing that wants to express, that wants to get out and sing in ways we've never sung before, and we feel that, and it feels so good. And we had our reading today, and I think that's what Ernest Holmes really brings to this wonderful spiritual journey, is he really emphasizes this need and the power and this impulsion of expression. So to review, last week, I'm going to check in with you. So last week we were talking about abundance and gratitude, and knowing the first part is we have to know who we really are. To know that we are one with the infinite love intelligence of the universe. And so I was using Thor as an example. Because in the movie, as I said, I don't think I'm giving anything away, since I think all the movies are basically the same, but he keeps continuing to say, I'm Thor, God of thunder, and he would say it throughout the movie, and nobody really cared. But he cared, and he knew it, and he stood in that power, and that's what we need to be doing, is claiming the truth of who and what we are. We might not always do it out loud, but we do it quietly in ourselves to know I am one with the infinite love intelligence of the universe. I am one with that which is infinitely abundant and knows no limitation. When we know that our source is the divine infinite love intelligence, when we feel that, then we can be that and express that in the world. Now, on the spiritual journey and different spiritual paths, we focus on different aspects. So this would be considered the ascension process. So before I go into that, so the invitation last week was to practice knowing who you are, like saying it to yourself throughout your week. And when we start recognizing who we are and what life is, we start realizing all that we already have, that already has been given. When we focus on what we have, where our attention goes, energy flows. When we focus on what we have, more shall be given. If we're constantly focusing on what we don't have, that's where the energy starts to going, because we are the infinite love intelligence of the universe, and so where the attention goes, we evolve. So I invited everyone to practice knowing your identity of who and what you are, to continue to tell yourself who you are and what life is, and to recognize what you have. Did some of you practice that this past week? Yeah? You practiced it? So we want to continue to do that. That is the ascension. And what I like about Thor, so we have religion, and many people have had some sort of religious training, and it has belief systems and dogmas and things that we're supposed to practice and believe, and things we don't believe, and the whole human aspect of it. And then what the mystics of every religion start to do, they say, well, we want to go further. We want to have direct contact. No intermediaries, no theology that gets in the way. Theology is secondary. The direct contact with pure spirit. And that's what mystics are. We want direct contact with the divine infinite love intelligence of the universe. So mystics are ascension oriented. To wake up, we use the languaging, wake up to who I really, truly am, to who we truly are. So I think most people who watch the Thor movies don't realize that he's a mystic. So then we get into the other aspect of the spiritual journey, which is the dissension. And this is the place of expression. And this is the place where Ernest Holmes, who's, for those of you who don't know, is the founder of Centers for Spiritual Living, of which we are an organization. This is really where his passion and his teaching leads to, is how to, once we connect with that oneness, with that power and that presence, then bringing it and allowing it to move through and as us. So I have to, for those of you who know, I love our little symbol here, and I have to just refer to it today in this whole creative process. So what we call it is, we call it the creative process. It is always happening. Dissension is always happening. The creative, just being alive, we are in form. By being in form in our thoughts, we're always creating moment by moment. So the idea is to become more and more conscious of what it is that, not just that, I don't think we create it, I don't like that language, of what we allow to move through us. The idea is that we align ourselves with and move through us and are created through and as us. So I'm just going to use our little symbol over here. For many of you who have been in this teaching for a long time, this is a familiar symbol. For others, this might be completely new. So I'll try to make it as simple as possible. And I'm going to refer to movies, because I like movies. The circle is the white screen that the movie is on. And I don't know if you've ever heard of the expression uncreated light. We have created light, but then we have the light that transcends the created light, and they call it the uncreated light. That's the screen. It just is. There's nothing happening on that screen. It just is pure bliss, pure being. That's the absolute, always ever present, unchanging reality.
Well, it's subtle energy? No.
We'll get there. We're not there yet. No, it's not the subtle energy. It's just being. It's beyond subtle energy. Then we have the idea. So if you're in a movie, you have the idea for a movie. You have the idea of a story. Now, what's interesting about the idea is you still can't see it. It's still invisible. The screen is still white. But we put this at what we call at the top of our chart, and that's what we also call first cause, spirit. A lot of the words we use for God, Allah, Brahma, that's really what we're talking about as the top of the chart, and that's where the first ideas come. And when I say first ideas, I don't mean first ideas like billions of years ago. I mean first ideas moment by moment. It's a place of thoughts, imagination, new ideas that we've never seen. In fact, I was sharing, I had this new idea of what I wanted to do for ministry, and I was sharing it with someone, and they kept asking me, well, where'd you get that idea from? Like they were sure I got it from somebody else. And I'm like, I didn't get it from somebody else. I just got it from first cause. You start listening and you get new ideas that have no past precedent. They've never been done before. It's a place of incredible creativity and infinite potential. And that is the source of what we are when we say we are one with God. So there's a new idea that is always available to us. So we can always, that's the idea of becoming new in every moment, allowing each and every moment to be new. Because every time we tap up here, this has, I'm going to say it again, no past precedent. It is unlimited by anything that's ever happened in human history. It is absolutely free from all conditions and circumstances. The author of the movie is absolutely free to create whatever they want, whatever world they want to create. We see on the movie screens all sorts of worlds that are created. They can do whatever they want. It's completely free and open. That's available to us. That's what spiritual teachings call our causal body. We have 3 bodies, causal, subtle, and gross physical body. It's our causal body. Then when we have the idea, we put it into this wonderful energy, this light. So when you have the movie screen, this is when you start getting, in the old movies, you had the projector in the back and the light beam. Remember the light beam that you used to see in the movie theaters? You're all my age, so I know you've all seen it. That's the light. That's the light that is going to be behind the story. It still doesn't have to tell a story. It could just be pure light. Now that's created light. It's not the uncreated light. Undifferentiated light, but now we put into this light, this energy, this force all around us, these ideas. We start sharing our ideas with people. We put it into this wonderful cosmic subtle energy, and that's this part. It's also the unconscious. You plant seeds into your unconscious. You ever do that? Set your intention, and by the morning it pops out, or whenever it's ready, the answers emerge. That's placing it into the subconscious. We have our individual subconscious and the collective, as Carl Jung coined the phrase, collective unconscious, that we have it happening all the time. So we place that in the way we used to talk about it is seed, soil, plant. And this would be the soil. And the soil never says no. The soil says yes to whatever seed is planted. You plant a seed, whether it's a weed or a flower, it's going to grow it. So it doesn't judge. It's not discerning. It just says yes. The energy around us says yes. And so when we tap into that idea, and it comes from first cause, and it moves into this wonderful energy, that light beam, and then it creates the story, and that's form. This is what shows up on the movie screen. And we're the movie screen. This is the drama of life. And so all of us are the expression, because you can see us, we're flesh, we're in the form, our whole stories, our whole history, what we tell everybody else, is an expression of these ideas that have been planted up here. I can put it down. So that's the creative process that is happening all of the time in our life. And so we're like a big movie. And so the idea is this divine impulsion that... The reason why Ernest Holmes this is Ernest Holmes' symbol, by the way, put the V there is because that's dissension. It's taking all the energy and bringing it into form. And so that's the joy of living, that we can just sit in our pillows, and they say, you can be so blissed out that you're of no earthly use, that you're just sitting on your pillow and meditating, and it's blissful. That means you're just in the being. You're just in the white screen, and it's beautiful, and it's wonderful. But as we heard in the reading today, then there's this whole other aspect of participating in this world, participating in the creative process consciously. That's the big difference. It's been happening ever since there's form. But we as human beings are waking up and becoming conscious and consciously aligning ourselves with these divine ideas and saying yes to it and allowing it to pour through us. And that's where so much joy starts to feel. When we start to feel, and it does not matter what we're doing, it could be something as beautiful as massage therapy, a healing modality, but I love that he also used play golf. It could be anything when we allow ourselves to get our bloated nothingness out of the way and allow this pure energy to pour through us in creative and new ways. So that's the essential aspect of express yourself. The problem is when we get in the way, and we do that a lot. So one of the books, actually I haven't brought it here, and I used to teach it from it a lot, and I have forgotten about it, so it popped in my awareness this morning. There's a book by Judith Wright called Soft Addictions. And what I love about it is we're conscious of the big addictions, gambling or alcohol, but she wrote a whole book on all the ways we avoid being present in the moment, where she didn't when she wrote the book, it wasn't there, but social media, video games, TV, computers, just sort of finding ways to numb ourselves out, to not be fully present, to feeling what's going on in the moment. Because what happens is, a lot of times what's unfolding in the present moment, especially in our past, has been very painful, so we shut it out, we shut it down. We find ways to numb out, we hide, we escape, we start thinking about things, we start fantasizing about something else, we start wishing I could do this over here, and sometimes the dreams that we say that we're creating aren't really authentic dreams that we want, it's just a way to avoid being present in our reality now. And what happens is then when we do that, we're blocking our connection with that causal idea, because we're shutting down. When we shut down to our feelings, when we're shutting down to the present moment, we're shutting down to this inspiration. Now, I think one reason why I think we do that is because sometimes it's very painful to be present to those feelings. I also think when we open up to that infinite love intelligence, it's really powerful, and it's more than we can handle. And it's actually surprised me how many times I've talked with people who have said, it was just too much energy was moving through. And I had to stop it. I wasn't ready to make all these changes, because almost always, at least in my experience, the more we tap into it, it's going to ask us to express in much bigger ways than we think. Like, I can't remember who the interview was with, but it was so great. Oh, I know, it was, someone asked him, did you ever imagine you would get this far in your career? And he gave in your wildest imagination. And he said, sure, in my wildest imagination, but I didn't really believe yes, anyone can imagine being really famous, but I didn't have that imagination had nothing to do with my reality. And he said, I was actually quite happy with whatever I had. I was grateful for any job that I got, and I felt successful. So now that I'm actually here, it feels like, no, I never really imagined this. It was just like this crazy idea, but I didn't really imagine. So when I say we don't ever imagine it, I'm not saying we can't have really huge imaginations. I just think even the way Jack sang today, I don't think he imagined himself singing that. He didn't plan that. It just came out. And I think what happens is we start to experience new aspects of ourselves, and we have to get comfortable with experiencing those new aspects of ourselves if we're going to really want to be part of this creative process. If we really want to be a conscious participant in this infinite love intelligence, this ideas flowing through us, we have to participate and say yes. Say yes. And Shunryu Suzuki likes to say yes, and then before the old yes gets to be old, say a new yes. Constantly moving forward, constantly saying, yes, I said to this yesterday, but now I'm saying yes to even a newer idea. That this energy is so intense, and the shifts can also be so asking itself for us to be so much greater than we think. I meant to look it up, and then I forgot. I know many of you are familiar with the Marianne Williamson, our greatest fear is to be powerful. Many of you, can anyone quote it off the top of their head? The parts of it? Because it's what her point was is that so many times we think that we're afraid of things, and what we're really afraid of is the power. There's so much power flowing through us that we shut it down, and so we find these soft addictions, little ways to escape that are enjoyable. By the way, I want to say, I don't think any of them are bad. I don't think social media is bad. I don't think video games are bad. I don't think wine is bad. It's not the things themselves, it's how we use them. And there's times where you just want to just let go and zone out. I'm not saying like to be superhuman and never zone out. It's just that when we stay in that zoned out place or we start overdoing it, whatever that is, and it's to avoid being present. So I think we do it to avoid feeling. We avoid being honest with what's happening in the present moment. We can't operate in that creative process if we're not being honest. And I also think it often asks us to play different roles than we're used to. That the more we start listening to this infinite love intelligence of the universe, we're asked to change and be different people. And I love personality tests. They're all fun. The Myers-Briggs, Enneagram. I'm trying to think of, there's a million of them that tell us about our personalities. And I think they're all really useful because often what they'll do is say, here's what you are now, look at it, face it, and feel it and be present to it and do whatever healing or adjustment or alignment with who you are. And so they're very powerful to actually keep us from being in the soft addiction and being present. But what also can happen is then we get very attached to what that tells us and we don't want to move out of it. Well, this is who I am, and we start shifting. We start saying, and the obvious example is, so I said I wasn't going to talk about this, but just an obvious example, so I have to give the obvious example. So I didn't think I was going to be I never would have on my own said I was going to be a minister. That's not the role. The role I've always played is support person, and I was very comfortable and happy being the support person, not being a pulpit minister. When I got paneled, and I was paneled 3-year panel throughout ministerial school, they kept talking to me as if this is a problem. So I don't know if I thought it was a problem, but they certainly made it clear to me that it was a problem because my personality test was always so high on the introversion scale, and they would say, well, how are you going to be a minister? And I'd say, I don't know. I didn't have an answer. But what I noticed when I finally surrendered and was willing to be a pulpit minister, in my head, because I want you to do this for your whatever roles you do or whatever roles you may be asked to do, in my head, I'm like, not only did I not feel like I was a pulpit minister, I also felt it belonged to extroverts. And that most of my colleagues were extroverts, and so therefore, I couldn't do it well. That I had to look a certain way. And that's why when we welcome people at the beginning of the service and we say we're each unique, because that's something I've had to learn, that I just ultimately, through all these years, just had to say, I am who I am. I cannot be something I'm not. And I continue to play the role, and I grow, and I expand, and I become someone, and I discover new things about myself that I never knew were there. And at the same time, I do it from a place of authenticity. Because I think sometimes with this creative expression place, the abundance of it is feeling the power of it. And when I talk about it, I was thinking it feels so big, and the energy's so big, and we're opening to the infinite love intelligence and allow it to express through us. So everything we're going to do is going to be big. And I thought, well, that doesn't feel authentic to me, so I shut down a little bit. I can't do that. I'm not that person. And it finally I got it. So I'm going to share that there is no big or small in spirit. There's no extroverted and introverted in spirit. That spirit is always wholly and completely being itself just as it needs to be in every single moment. So for many of you know that I was trained in a mega center at Agape International Center in Los Angeles. And I've gotten really comfortable with who I am. And I've had some people talk with me and sort of almost like, oh, well, you just have a small center, and Reverend Michael's a big center, and there's a comparison, and the feeling is that I feel badly about that, and it dawned on me, I don't feel badly about that, because I really understand, and I'm saying this to all, because we do all the comparison is down here, at the human form level, but what we have to recognize is the wholeness of spirit is just as much in a flower as it is in a mountain. There's no more spirit in a mountain than there is in a flower. And a mountain lasts for hundreds, thousands of years. A flower only lasts temporarily. I think of George Washington Carver, when they said, how did he discover all these mysteries of nature? And he would say, I would just give my full love and attention. He said, if you love a flower with your whole heart, body, mind, and soul, and you just give yourself to it, it's going to reveal the secrets of the universe. The entire cosmos is contained in a flower. You don't need a huge mountain to discover the cosmos. Thomas Troward was talking about this in 1900. He was the president of the International New Thought Alliance. And in 1900, he was saying all of the universe, things that we're saying is new science, he was way ahead of his time. All of the universe, everything that's ever existed is contained at every moment of time and space. Who you are is absolutely perfect, just as you are. You do not have to be anything different than who you are. So if you come into a spiritual community and you say, I want to work in the children's church, but I'm not a teacher, I'm not one of those teachers, I've never had kids, I don't resonate with this because it's never been something I do, and yet I keep getting this impulsion to work with the children's church. Work with the children's church. You get to be you. You don't have to be like a teacher or like how you see everybody else do it. Be you. If you have that divine impulsion to do whatever you are here to do, you are to do it the way you're to do it. That's why you're being asked. And you're not to do it like anybody else doing it. And it is absolutely enough that the abundance of the universe, this is what we have to get. The abundance of the universe is in all of us. All of our expression is equal. The pure spirit flows through every one of us equally. And where we get into lack is when we try to shut that down, or I'm not enough, or I shouldn't do all the negativity that we create. The avoidances, the numbing out, the hiding, the I don't want to change, it's too much, I don't belong there, all these things, all these ways we say no. That's what creates the lack. The abundance is when we have that infinite yes. Then we're opening up to this. The whole thing, the whole kit and caboodle is ours in every single moment, no matter who you are. You do not have to be a huge celebrity, because I think when I think of the energy pouring through, we think of people who are big personalities and and they're just way out here. But you can be so quiet and still and write a beautiful book, or you can go help somebody who needs nursing care, and you're in there helping them, and the power of the infinite love intelligence is there pouring through you and caring and helping someone else. That it does not matter about the size, it matters how open our hearts are, how big our yes is. And when our yes is infinite, the infinite is moving through all of us just as we are. And that's the abundance of self-expression that every one of us has access to in every single moment of the day. So my invitation this week is to continue to emulate Thor and know who you really are and claim it. Don't just know it, keep saying it. And by the way, there's another aspect I liked about this. He kept saying who he was. He kept saying who he was. He kept saying who he was. And then there's a moment where he's just like, he gets it. Like he actually connects with his source, and the electricity starts pouring through. And but that didn't happen the moment. He kept saying it, but he wasn't feeling the energy pouring through his arms. It took time. It took repetition. It kept saying it over and over in all these different situations until finally, bam, that connection made and the energy pours through. So it's actually really important when I say, know who you really are. I don't mean just once or twice, or of course I know who I am. I've said it before 1,000 times. This is a daily spiritual practice. Wake up, ascension. They've done research tests on spiritual teachers who have been on this, this was in the 70s and 80s. And what they found is those spiritual teachers who stopped doing spiritual practices which are for ascension, to know our oneness with God, actually would regress. Yeah, that was the word. And they would start to forget who they are. Everything in this world is here to tell us that we're just human beings. Every one of us is flesh. No matter who the spiritual teacher is, Jesus or Buddha, they were still in their flesh. They had to continue to do their spiritual practices, just like all of us, to remember who they really are. That's essential. Know who you are this week. Continue to do your spiritual practices. Claim it, whatever situation or circumstance you're in. Claim who you really are. And then I want you to start feeling and noticing, and really feel it in your heart first and foremost, what's wanting to be expressed. When you're sitting in meditation, it's one of the most clear ways of what wants to be expressed pouring through us. Because you want to get up off your pillow or off your chair. Like, I want to go somewhere. What do I want to do? Like, we have this desire to move. We want to do something. You know, when I heard your song this morning, it was just like, you could feel you got to be bold, you got to be strong, you got to just get out and do something. It feels so good. What is it that's calling you to express? And is it something that you've expressed many times before, or are you allowing new ideas to pour through you? Are you allowing new sides of yourself to be expressed, including things that you don't like. That's the whole idea. If you're blocking yourself, notice that. Sometimes what needs to be expressed is something negative. I don't like this right now. This doesn't feel good. I'm not resonating with this. Sometimes that needs to be expressed. To allow this energy to move through, we have to be fully honest with what's happening in the moment, get out of our way and say what needs to be said, and allow this new energy to pour through us, to stop doing the soft. We can still zone out once in a while, but not have it become a soft addiction where we're hiding. Notice, when am I hiding? When am I numbing out? And what's making me numb out? Why did I just suddenly want to run? Why did I just want to suddenly just shut down? What was it that triggered that? And be present with it. Because the joy of life, the abundance of life, the time when we feel the most gratitude is when we are fully present, when we're dealing with what's happening and we're saying yes to that infinite love intelligence of the universe. We're saying yes, divine infinite love intelligence. I don't care of all the things that are happening. I'm saying yes, no matter how scared I am, no matter what's going on in the moment. Yes, yes, yes. And then we start feeling and experiencing beyond our wildest imagination, our genuine wildest imagination, abundance pouring through us in our relationships, in our work life, in our financial life, in all aspects of our life, that infinite oceanic supply. It is there. It is always there. Know who you are. Are you saying yes? Are you numbing out? Are you avoiding? That's okay. Notice it. Be present. Come back to the present moment. Yes. Be with that word yes. Yes. And if it gets too much, you can contract a little, soothe yourself a little, but be conscious. This is all about conscious participation. And make the shifts, and when you're ready, yes. Yes. That's abundance and gratitude. So you all going to practice that this week? I'm going to ask this week. Yes. If you said no, you'd be in real trouble. So I'm going to ask next week. So knowing who you are and saying yes to that presence, and notice any times where you're blocking. I'd like to ask our spiritual leaders and practitioners to please stand in the room, whether you're all spiritual leaders and practitioners, whether you're trained in another center or here, does not matter. These are people who have committed their life consciously to publicly serve and be a presence for the Spirit. They've given years to do their inner work so they can be of service to communities, to this community. And yet we are all one. There's no separation. There's no other. When we really are fully present to this presence, we know that there is no big or small, better or worse. There is only the one. And what a miracle to know that this infinite cosmos, this infinite love intelligence, is contained in every grain of sand. In every atom and cell of our beingness is the infinite cosmos. When we really breathe into that, we recognize there's nowhere to go. There's nothing to grasp or get, because we already have it. We are already it. And what a glorious remembering to remember that we are already it. We allow our hearts just to open wide and know how deeply and profoundly love pulsates and vibrates as every atom and cell of our beingness, that we are infinitely taken care of, that the infinite supply of the universe is right here at the center of our being, that we don't need to change, we don't need to get more educated, we don't need to do anything. It's already available to us. It's us. It is who we are. We are made in the image and likeness of the infinite love intelligence, the abundance of pure spirit, right here and right now. It just simply takes our recognition of this truth and this reality. Yes. Recognizing it now, yes. Recognizing it now, yes. No limitation. And when we are in this beautiful presence of pure spirit, we know it is divinely expressing itself exactly as it needs to, as each and every one of us in this room and in the entire planet. That it has a voice that is wanting to sing its song. It wants to sing its melody, its rhythm, its beautiful, pulsating orchestration and harmonies in, through, and as our entire life being. We just say yes to the power of this song that is being sung by us. We don't sing to get. We don't express to get. We already have. We express because it is our pure joy. It is because the fulfillment of pure spirit to express itself into form. This is the wonderful creative process in which we were born and moved and live and have our being in, and it is alive and awake consciously as every one of us here participating in the infinite love and the infinite creativity of pure spirit that is wanting to pour itself into all of our story, all aspects of our stories, our home life, our work life, our community life, our life as a citizen of this planet. In every way, it is saying yes. We are saying yes to this infinite love intelligence of the universe. We are saying yes to this creative process, and we have and allow that wonderful healing love energy to those places that feel like we can't be present, where it's too much, where we're afraid, or the feelings are so hurtful that we don't feel like we have the strength to be fully present to them. We call forth this infinite power of love, this infinite healing power of light to surround and enfold us, so we do have the courage and the boldness and the bravery to be fully present to whatever is happening and unfolding in our life moment to moment. We are that yes. We are vital. We are alive. We are awake. And we are a gift to this planet. We are singing our song individually and collectively. And so I invite all of us now to feel that yes within your heart. Just feel the yes, and see if you can feel your heart opening as you say that yes. And if there's those little no's, acknowledge that there's no's, and then say yes in the midst of that no. It does take boldness. And we are here to be that boldness, to be that healing energy in this light, to be exactly what we were here to be. Each and every one of us has a divine plan, has a divine purpose, yes. Each of us has a beautiful and specific way we are here to express moment by moment, yes. Every one of us is needed for this divine unfoldment for heaven on earth, yes. The way we speak, the way our words come together, the way our energy is in our body, the way our faces look, the way our bodies are, the way we show up in our work life, and the way we have conversations and work through our projects, yes. We are essential to the unfoldment of the kingdom of heaven on earth. In our relationships with our loved ones, those who are close to us, those people who've known us forever, we are here in that relationship for a purpose and for a reason, yes. Yes, there's always more than enough good when we say yes. The abundance of the universe is only known as we continue to say yes. As we continue to say yes, we know that there is no lack ever, ever. Yes, the abundance of good is here and now, in all of us, in this room, now and forever. As we hold and know this for ourselves, we know this for the planet. All the lack and limitation and feeling like the nose and the twistedness and distortedness, we open it up. We allow the possibility for an infinite yes, for a worldly yes to the infinite love intelligence of the universe. Yes. We move away from our small identities into the infinite oceanic identity of the one life and one power. Yes, all is well, all is good, and we are it now. In deep abiding peace, I just let this word be now, and I invite us all to say together as one. And so it is. Amen.
So it is. And so it is. So it is. Amen. 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 And so it is.
Amen and amen.